Alright, hello there. Welcome to my thoughts on Burning Rangers. So I played this game for the first time a couple days ago. It's a game by Sonic Team on the Sega Saturn, if you're not familiar. I mostly know this game from its excellent intro song by the Daytona USA singer Takenobu Mitsuyoshi. I don't think he composed it, but he sings it in at least one compilation. Oddly enough, he doesn't sing it in the game. It's a different singer, which is fine. It sounds fine. I'm just more familiar with him singing it, so it was a little bit jarring to hear a different singer. So yeah, other than knowing the very catchy intro song from various video game radio stations or compilations since like the late 90s, I also played it a little bit a couple years ago on my RetroPie, and I remember it feeling a little bit clunky, but not really delving too deep into it. So yeah, when I played it this time, I also discovered the same thing. It's a tiny bit clunky. So when you go to move your character, they don't go at full running speed right away. It takes like a couple seconds to get there, and they turn a little bit slowly too. Right, so I should probably get into like, what is this game? You're playing basically futuristic firefighters. So you're put in these scenarios where a ship is on fire or a building is on fire, and you put out the fire by shooting the fire with your laser guns. That's actually what they say. Like you're shooting a laser and the laser makes the fire dissipate. It's kind of silly, the explanation. But after a while, when I was playing it, I realized that it felt a lot like PSO. Not at first, because the movement is a little bit clunky, but the shooting and even the outfits of the characters, they have like these wings on them and they can double jump and fly pretty well. They're pretty acrobatic, but it reminded me of the Hunters in PSO, which, you know, it's the same game development team that worked on it, so that's a pretty cool evolutionary through line, I guess you could say. Okay, yeah, so when you first start playing the game, you're thrown into a tutorial, which that's a good idea because there are controls that... So this is early 3D, so they didn't have everything nailed down, and you can tell. So when you turn the camera, it's not just rotating it slightly, it locks to 90-degree positions, but only if you're currently on a 90-degree angle yourself somewhere. So, you know, 0, 90, 180, or 270. If you're not, it'll snap to the closest angle, and then you can rotate the camera that way. I was a little bit torn about if I liked the camera or not at first, because it was a little slow and I was wishing it was faster, but I got used to it pretty quickly because when it snaps, it's pretty fast, but if you're not snapping, then it's slow. Yeah, and most of the levels are set up to be 90-degree angles of some kind, so the camera kind of makes sense for that design. But definitely I just wish it was a faster camera. This is before they had the right stick analog control also. Okay, so you're in the tutorial level. They're telling you how to move around, operate the camera, shoot fires out, double jump, use the camera to see what platforms are around you, and then jump and double jump to the platforms. But one thing that I noticed when going through all of this was that there was no music. It's just voiceover, and then you're left to go do the thing.
Find a console panel with a light on. Stand next to it and press the action button. Some doors can be opened this way.
And there's some ambient noise at least, which I guess you have to give them credit for that. There's like ambient spaceship noises and fire noises, so it's not completely silent, but it really could have done with some music. It has such a good intro song. They could have put like something in there.
Come on, you can do it, Joe. It's easy. Just press, hold down, and then...
Yeah, so most of the time you're playing this game, even outside of the tutorial, there will be no music, but then like you'll come into an event where something happens, like a monster attacks the ship or something, or someone needs to get rescued, and then it'll play some music for like 30 seconds, and I'm like, whoa, cool, like they should have played this music the whole level.
Wow! Joe, looks like the power has been completely shut down in that sector. There should be an emergency override switch nearby. Try that.
But they didn't do it that way. Oh well, missed opportunity. Maybe there wasn't a lot of disk space on the CDs. I'm not sure how many CDs this game was. It's just one CD, yeah. And the game does have anime cutscenes, you know, it has that intro, and between each level there's also an anime cutscene, so maybe the cutscenes are what took up the most space. Okay, so I'm talking about things that I encountered in the tutorial. One thing that I missed is that there are one-directional doors, or there's color-coded doors. They're either one-directional, or they're locked, or they're bi-directional, I guess. It's not really a big deal. You just find a nearby control panel that will unlock the door, and then you go find the door, and then that's it. So the cast of characters in the game, you're talking to a main operator. Her name is Chris, and you're like this spunky new guy that wants to rescue everyone and be like a hotshot, I guess. His name is Sho. And then there's another, well, I played as Sho. You can play as Sho or the girl, I can't remember her name. But then there's another character too that you encounter in the tutorial, and his name is Big Landman, and he shows you how to jump, I think. Oh, right, so I forgot to mention that when you're putting out the fires with your laser gun, which is, they could invent some kind of technology that shoots a water hose out of a gun, but then it's not as fun as just using a laser, right? So that's a pretty inventive way to get around that. Just shoot the fire with lasers. But yeah, when you do that, there are crystals that drop out of it, and you pick up the crystals, and you can use them to rescue people. And the logic behind that they use is that you need a certain amount of crystals to teleport people to safety, so that's why you need the crystals. And I very quickly picked up on the fact that the way that the crystals work is like a Sonic game, basically. So you collect them from putting out the fires, but then if you run into a fire by accident or one surprises you, then you'll lose all your crystals and you have to try to pick up as many as you can, but you'll most likely only pick up a few of them. Yeah, that brings me to my next point about the controls and being surprised by fire. One element of the game is that the fires will get more intense as time goes on, to the point where there'll be explosions constantly, and the way that you avoid explosions is that you hit back on the directional pad, but you have to be running. You kind of have to reverse your trajectory very quickly. That's how the mechanic works, and when it works, it's really cool because they'll just jump backwards, but a lot of times it won't work because you're either going too slow or you're either at zero speed, like just barely, like you're turning, and then you'll hear this sound. And when you hear this sound, that's your cue to press the opposite direction to get out of the way. So you're either completely stationary or going too slow, so then the backdash won't work, and then you'll take damage. And if there's too much damage on the ship or the building that you're in, there'll be constant explosions, and you won't be able to survive the onslaught. It's actually ridiculous how easy it is to die that way. But it seems to be pretty easy to get continues. So I started with 3 continues in the first level, but I remember when I got to the second level, I had like 8 or 9 continues. So I must have been gaining more by rescuing people or something, or getting a high score. Continuing my notes on the tutorial, they played that theme song at the end of the level, which was cool because that's like one of the main draws of the game. You're like, man, this is a really cool jazzy tune, and these character designs are cool, and it's Sonic Team. I don't know why they didn't lean into the music more, except for, like I said, maybe disk space or something. Oh, and the other thing about the tutorial that I noticed was that sometimes the music will kick in and then the characters will talk too, and it's like, I can't hear what they're saying because the music is too loud.
What's that?
Can anybody hear us? This is security at the recreation area. Is anybody there?
That happened a lot. It kind of reminded me of Mega Man Legends in that way, where they didn't really think of the music and voice acting balancing. So yeah, you do the tutorial, you learn all the moves, you get to the end and the theme song plays, and then I think you get another anime cutscene to kick off Mission 1. And so yeah, in Mission 1 you're basically doing the same type of thing that I already described, which is putting out fires, exploring very rectilinear level designs. I think you're not on a ship for the first mission, I think it's a building. So yeah, as you get more random explosions, you're gonna have troubles with the backdashing and avoiding them. It's unavoidable, really. I feel like the game could have really done well with a quick turn, like how they have in Resident Evil 3. But this game came out in '98, so bad 3D controls are pretty much normal at the time. What I can say is at least they're not tank controls, right? But they're almost as bad, especially later on for a boss fight, but I'll get into that in a second. Yeah, so in the first level, I game overed at least twice. I was kind of bugged by there not being music. One good thing though was that the laser that you use to put out the fires, it seems to be auto lock on, so you just kind of face in the general direction of the fire and just press the laser button and that'll work. You don't have to really spend too much time aiming. But yeah, finally some music will kick in near the end of the level where you rescue a doctor, and that's the cue where the tone of the level kind of changes, and you're kind of put on notice that you're near the end of the level.
Coordinates immediately. Priority 1 is to get the doctor out safely.
Okay, set coordinates.
Hurry, get out of here.
Confirming transport coordinates. Begin transport.
And the way that you know that is you're told that there's a monster that's latched onto the mainframe computer, and so you need to take it out.
If you destroy the core of the mutated plant, all its roots will wither and the computer will be restored to normal.
Yeah, a lot of the rooms change because the power goes out, and so there's a lot of dark rooms with neon colors, and that was a pretty cool artistic choice, I want to say. Like, I found myself thinking, wow, this looks really nice. I wish there were levels in PSO that were like this. But yeah, okay, so now I can talk about the boss. This is where it's really apparent that the controls and the camera just don't feel like you're in control of them all the time. So there's like this water salamander kind of creature. I think that was the first level. Maybe it wasn't the first level. Nope, that was the second boss. Okay, never mind. I don't remember the first boss now. Oh, right, okay. The first boss is a giant plant, and you have to avoid its blue fire. And yeah, you can sort of see the problems that are more apparent in the second boss fight. You can experience them, which is controlling the camera and your character and just trying to face the right way.
Joe, you're losing your shield.
It's more simple though, for sure, this first boss. It's doable. You just charge up your blaster and avoid the spinning flower. Jump over the flames that it's spinning out and charge shot it. You can't really shoot it from behind though. You have to have a good angle on hitting the middle of it. Its petals are blocking it from the sides, but your laser is sort of lock on, like it'll curve its shot. So as long as you're sort of facing the flower, you'll hit it. So you beat mission 1, and then you get a nice anime cutscene where Chris says, "Good job," and everyone strikes a pose. And then you get a mission ranking, so that's pretty cool for replayability. Yeah, and a different verse of the Burning Rangers theme song plays on the mission results screen too, which is cool, but then it just makes you feel bad that there's no music in the actual levels. Okay, so mission 2, this level introduces swimming in water, which is a little frustrating. I mean, I guess people would have read the instruction manual, so they would have been told how to swim, but I had no idea, so I was just pressing the jump button, and then when you do that, you only float upwards. But then I quickly realized that if you want to swim down, you can just press the laser button when you're in the water, and then instead of shooting your laser, you'll swim down. Also, this is a level where I figured out that if you do a charge shot at the fire, you won't get any crystals. So that's one reason why you probably don't want to charge shot all the time. But if you're surrounded by fire, then obviously do whatever you want to get the heck out of there or destroy it as quickly as possible. And another thing that this level has that is new is you have to climb through these air ducts to go to certain other rooms because doors are locked and that's the only way through. When you're on the intercom with Chris, she'll say air duct.
Look for an air duct in that room.
And then I was thinking, like, does she mean duct? But yeah, shortly after that, I was ganged up by fire explosions again, and back dodging didn't save me that time, because again, it's not always reliable. You have to be at like running at a good speed and not have the camera at any weird angles, so you're pressing back the right version of back. I don't know, I haven't really perfected the dodging technique. It didn't feel natural for sure. Oh yeah, and this level had a dolphin that you had to save, which was pretty cool. Like you see it caged up and it's gonna get poisoned or something, so then you have to flip a switch somewhere and then it purifies the water.
You're welcome.
But yeah, around this time I had to deal with some more explosions, and it sucked because they were going off super fast in rapid succession, and I didn't really know what was causing it other than maybe the increased percentage rating on the side of the screen there. I think after 3 of them I was thinking like, okay, they're gonna stop, right? But they didn't stop, and I died. Okay, and after this I fought 2 blue robots, and the first one that you face is in this narrow corridor tube thing, and it felt kind of difficult and imposing, but I was able to get around it and just charge shoot it. You also face them in open areas too, and that is less intimidating and yeah, just a lot easier to get around them. They don't really hurt you unless you're cornered, which did happen later on. Right, there's one room where you're swimming and you come up for air and you can't go backwards because the door locks behind you. So you get out of the water, you open a automatic door, like you walk near it, it opens, and there's 3 of these robots. You can try to hide in like the sliver right on the side of the door so they don't have a good angle on you. But chances are when you go to peek out to shoot them, they'll shoot you too. My My strategy for this was, I guess you could call it the Three Stooges strategy, where I just ran in a circle, and every time I had a good shot on them, I would shoot off a charge shot. So if you can imagine a guy just running in circles going whoop, 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 whoop. And then shooting occasionally, that's what I did until the first one went down anyway, and then there was more room for me to actually go into the room that they were coming from, but the strategy was still pretty much the same, just run around in circles in the room and charge shoot them. Oh, and then you rescue this guy that says,
"I've fallen and I can't get up."
And, you know, that's like an old commercial. I guess they had to go for it. But yeah, after that minor bit of levity, I was treated to more rapid-fire explosions, very frustrating. But I survived a lot longer because I didn't rely on the backdash, because if you don't get one backdash right, you know you're gonna lose all your crystals. So instead I was just pressing the jump button like crazy, which is actually pretty effective, because if you jump straight up, but then if you do another jump, you can dash forward or backward or whatever. So I was just going crazy with double jumping and whatnot and aiming in whatever direction I could, and that actually helped me survive. Yeah, it's around this time that I figured out that the limit gauge on the screen was at 98%, and that probably had something to do with there being a chaotic amount of explosions. Yeah, it definitely feels like something worth reading more about. There's probably like a rhyme and reason to both knowing when those rapid fire explosions are coming and how to avoid them more skillfully, but the movement and camera make it very difficult, other than backdashing and jumping like crazy. So then after that though, more levity, we got to ride a dolphin. One thing I noticed here though was that the water effects, while good at replicating the feeling of being in wavy water, were nauseating a little bit, because low resolution graphics combined with wavy polygons to begin with, and then more wavy polygons from the waves, was just like basically super nauseating. Oh, and then Sho goes to rescue someone and he says,
"It's okay, sweetie. I'm here to help you."
It hurts! It hurts!
it kind of felt a little bit out of character for him. But hey, he was trying to be nice. Okay, so then after that, more blue robots. They're easy at this point. Riding on a dolphin again. I remember this part having a lot of jet stream tubes. So basically they're one way, and it was a little bit difficult to tell where you were going there also. Like, you know how when you're in a new area in a game, you move the camera around and you try to get a sense of the layout of the level basically in your head? Well, there was no time for that because it was hard to aim the camera in whatever direction I wanted to go, or to have a sense of where I was supposed to go. So I was just kind of swimming into walls a lot, and whenever I saw a jet stream that would let me go in it, so it was going the right way, I just went in there and was like, okay, well, I'm not going to explore around here, I'm just going to keep going whatever way is forward, basically. Yeah, and then after this, unfortunately, another explosion-gasm, as I affectionately wrote down here, but then more levity. So I saved a character, a guy, officially named Mark Brando, but he pretty much looks like Dr. Robotnik, except not evil, I guess.
Are you alright?
And yeah, moving forward a little bit more from there, there was the boss fight. And this is what I was thinking of before when I was talking about camera control and character movement being a little bit janky. So in this boss, you're facing like a water serpent of some kind, and there's some platforms suspended above water, and you have to keep jumping on the platforms while avoiding the serpent. I'm pretty sure he breathes flames at you too. But what made it difficult was that the camera it felt very janky as I was jumping around, and also you don't really get a good sense of how far you're jumping. So in a lot of platforming games, depending on how long you hold the jump button, you can make short jumps or long jumps and have a good sense of what you're doing with that. In this game, it doesn't really feel like that. You're just kind of pressing the button and you're hoping to land in the right spot. The frame rate is a little bit slow while all this is happening, and the camera is not following along very smoothly either. And all the while, you're supposed to be shooting the boss, which again, for me, what worked was just doing charge shots. But yeah, this was another instance of me looking at this boss battle and realizing how much it reminds me of Phantasy Star Online. Like, they pretty much used this boss in PSO, except they had just one straight platform instead of a bunch of little platforms that you're jumping around in a circle. But yeah, after that, I finished mission 2. I think I got like a D ranking. It's alright though. I'm pretty sure I'll do better. And more importantly, I think, despite all the jankiness, it does have its charm, even without the music or anything too. Like, it feels like a game that would be fun to get better at. So yeah, thanks for listening to my little update about Burning Rangers. I plan to at least beat this game so I know what the whole game is like. I think there's 2 more levels. There can't be that many more. I don't think it's a very long game. But yeah, until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.